Hi, I'm Ricardo for Don Ricardo Foods. Today we're doing the prep for the Tequila Lime Fajita mix with cutting the veggies and cutting some chicken. And I'm not going to do all the veggies as I've done some for the red sauce mix. If you want to see how to cut up a jalapeno, get some advice on that. An onion, get some advice on that. And an Anaheim pepper, get some advice on that. Please watch that video. Eventually I will do a video for some veggie prep and just different ways of doing some of these, but the only one I'm going to get into is we're going to change it up here a little bit. For those who like a sweeter pepper, and my son and I decided we're going to have sweet and something hot, I'm just going to show the bell peppers because I haven't shown that in any other videos. So let's get started. I'll only do one. I have a red and a green bell pepper, but what I like to do is I like to, around the core, cut around the stem. And you got to be careful as if the stem overlaps as you go around it. And you want to get out of the way that you don't cut yourself. And I have some pretty sharp knives and I'm just going to kind of saw through. And the reason I like to do this is sometimes you get lucky and you can pull it out, and sometimes the pod comes out, and not quite lucky with this one, but nonetheless. Now what we do is if we look on the inside, sometimes you can see where the vein tracks down, and so we want to go in between that. Sometimes that's where there's a little indentation along the side, and we actually want to go down the center of that because that's not where the vein is. And you'll see what I mean once I get it apart. And we go down to the center, and then we go again in between, and go down to the center, and we'll see that wedge. You pop it out. And then the last one, so it's going to be like in thirds. And again, when it gets to these points, you do want to be careful not to cut yourself. And then, so I only work with one of the part that has the biggest part of the pod here. I'm going to go ahead and cut down that vein a little bit, so to speak, and then we're going to cut the rest of that pod out. And see? And now we really have not much seeds at all. You can go ahead and give it a little tap, move them over. And then here, we like to have our veggies for the fajita mix in big, long slices. So then what we can do, you can either chop it in half, or you can just be cutting, going from side to side and getting pieces that are about this size right here. So that you have those nice chunks that fit well into a taco. They're not too big, not too small. A little bit easier and a little bit prettier for presentation when you're ready to serve. Okay. That's pretty much what we're going to do. You can do the same with the bell pepper, and again, we've talked about the onion and the jalapeno peppers before, but I'm going to stop here because basically you get the idea. And I'm going to get into the chicken, again, save you a little bit of time. We don't need to go through every veggie, I believe, especially if you've got the patience to look at the other videos. And now we're going to get into cutting the chicken a bit. In this one, I've got skinless, boneless thighs and skinless, boneless breasts. And I'm just going to get a little bit into the breast and a little bit into one of the thighs, again, to save you time. And I just want to show you how it should be a little consistent here. And the breast is kind of long, and then it's got a width, and then it's got a thickness. Well, what I like to do is I like to, on the bigger end where it's a little thicker and doesn't come to such a point, I go ahead and I slice from side to side. I lay it so that it's long ways vertically, and then I go ahead and I'll take about anywhere between a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch, and I'll chop it all into like these discs, so to speak. And again, I'm only going to do a few, and then I'll show you one of the discs. And this is about the size you end up. Well, now this, I like to do these either into thirds or halves. It depends how thick they are. With this, I'd rather do it in half. So this is great because once this cooks, it'll shrink a little bit. And then we got some nice fajita strips to put into tacos. So I just laid this over. This is about 3 of them. So if you want, you can save a little time by laying them over like that too. And cut the 3, and now you're really getting that. A little bit more done, a little more bang for your buck, so to speak, when trying to save some time. And this is where we want to end up. Sizes that are about like that. You can go slightly bigger, slightly smaller. There's no rule to this exactly. So let's lay that breast aside. Let's go ahead and get one of the thighs. And thighs are a little funny, boneless, skinless thighs. Sometimes you do have a little bit of excess fat still. I like to trim that a little, not to get too picky, but my wife doesn't like that fat too much. And yeah, it is a little bit of a nuisance when you get that piece that just kind of, if you don't like the fat, kind of doesn't appeal to me too much. But then again, to each their own. There may be some that actually like that, and some of that fat actually does give some of the flavor. So once we've trimmed some of the fat to your liking, when they're skinless, boneless, you'll find that it kind of starts to lay out kind of flat, almost to a point to where it's about the thickness of 1/4 to 1/2 inch of the strips we did with the breast. Then we'll just kind of cut some strips off of that. Some will be a little smaller because it's just the way it's formed naturally, and some maybe a little bit thicker. And then kind of like the bell pepper, we can kind of do a slight angle. Then we can start getting our chunks so that when we cook it, we're going to have nice little strips. Okay. Where it is a little thicker, maybe you want to go a little thinner. And the idea behind all this is to keep a consistency so that when you cook, everything pretty much cooks evenly. And that's important with chicken because obviously chicken has to be cooked to an internal temperature of 165 to kill any bacteria and avoid any foodborne illnesses. So it'll cook evenly, it'll cook quickly, and you'll end up with the size that you want for the fajitas. So basically that's it. I'm gonna stop there again in order to save time. I'll finish chopping the rest, and then we'll do some cooking a little later and get to that part. But what we're gonna do right here, just a little bit of this fat off, we're gonna move next to doing the mix, talking a little bit about that for the chicken fajita, mixing it, and then putting the meat in bags. So we'll talk about that when we get to that video. So thanks for visiting DonRicardoFoods.com, watching this video. Hope you got something out of it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please visit DonRicardoFoods.com. You'll find some great products there, lots of tips on cooking. And again, thanks for watching. Bye.